Okay, hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Professor Dong-Koo Kim at Yonsei University, serving as session chair of this 6G Global opening invited session. It'll be very exciting to have a 6G, we have a 6G leadership from Europe, Japan, and China. So let me begin with Dr. Colin Willcock. He is the chairman of 5GIA and 6GIA. He has shown outstanding leadership in the wide range of 5G promotion of the whole cycles of 5G generation and next generation to come. He'll be joining us with the pre-recording. Would you pull up his pre-recording, and which is about 6G activities in Europe. So let's welcome Dr. Willcock.
Thank you for the invitation to present today. I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about 6G activities in Europe. Maybe I can start by introducing myself and the organization I'm representing. So my name is Dr. Colin Willcock, and I'm chairman of the board of the 5G Infrastructure Association. The 5G Infrastructure Association tries to be the voice of European industry on all things 5G, and in the future, all things 6G. And when we talk about European industry, we don't just mean the big players, the Ericssons, Nokia, Deutsche Telekom, and Orange. We also have as members SMEs, research institutes, and universities. So we have the whole ecosystem in our association. One of the key things that we are involved in is organizing a lot of the research intercellular system that goes on in Europe. So the existing partnership that we have been running for many years now is called 5G PPP. The PPP stands for Public-Private Partnership. This means that it is a collaboration between the public authorities, which in this case are the European Commission, and private industry, which in this case is represented by the 5GIA. This research partnership has done, I think, a lot of good work in the area of 5G. So we started in 2014, 2015, and we can broadly break down this partnership into three main phases. So the first phase was very much looking at the fundamental 5G technology. Now, in the telecoms world, we have this funny habit of first inventing the name of something and then actually defining what that name means. So this was the same in 3G, in 4G, in 5G, and also the same in 6G. So we have the name, but we don't have the technology defined or what that name will really mean. And that is what this first phase in the case of 5G was concentrating on. Fundamental research, a large number of projects trying to define the key concepts, the key technological underpinning for 5G technology. And I think if we look at the results of those early phase one projects, we can claim quite a lot of success. So quite a number of the things which have now been standardized as 5G came out of those collaborative projects in phase one. We then went on to phase two, and the vision of 5G was to be more than just teenagers with smartphones, more than just the classical telecom services. Our vision for 5G was really to digitize wide parts of industry, everything from automotive, smart media, smart cities, smart agriculture, industry 4.0, a whole range of industries where we wish to use this technology to gain advantage. Now, these industries have their own worlds, their own way of doing things. And it is not enough for the telecoms industry to just work in isolation, trying to develop a new technology that will meet the requirements of these new sectors. So what we did in this phase 2 was we had collaborative projects between the telecoms players and the key players in these new other industrial domains. And to begin with, they often spoke a different language. They have different sets of KPIs. And it took time to understand each other. And this collaborative projects gave the space, the time to understand what the technology could do, and then build the trial systems which could actually then demonstrate the advantages of using this technology. And there are many, many trials and large-scale trials in some cases which have come out of these phase 2 projects. And what they have managed to show or managed to convince is the key players in these other industrial domains, the automotive, the smart media, that 5G is a vital technology that they should invest in. Please remember, this is not their core technology. This is not their core business. If you talk about Volvo or BMW or Mercedes, they build cars. They don't build communication systems. So it is actually a very important step to convince them that this technology, this 5G, was important enough for them to invest resources and money. Further than that, what we managed to do is by working together, we managed to get 1 + 1 = 3. And what I mean by that is, as well as demonstrating that the current version of 5G could solve many of their problems today, by working together with these key digital technologies, we were able to also think about future services based on enhanced 5G. And indeed, many of the aspects which are now going into the further evolution of the 5G standard, the Release 18, the 5G Advanced, many of those are coming from these vertical domains trying to meet the requirements they have for future services. In the last phase, we created so-called innovation platforms. So platforms where third parties, other companies could come and try out new ideas based on a 5G infrastructure, often a 5G infrastructure spanning several countries, showing the ability, showing the uniqueness of what 5G can do. Now, this talk is more about 6G in Europe, so it might be a surprise that I've started with 5G. But the issue is that the 6G story starts with this partnership, 5G PPP. And equally, the way that we have structured this into, firstly, looking at the key technology building blocks, then looking at the applications, the requirements coming from the key use cases, and lastly, then looking at the innovation. I think this is a good model looking forward to 6G. But the link, the thing that ties things together, is the last call that we had within this 5G PPP partnership. So the last call was called ICT 52, and it launched 9 new projects. And these projects are 6G projects. These were the first European level funded projects to look into 6G. And in many ways, this set of projects represents the link between the previous partnership, 5G PPP, and the new European partnership called Smart Networks and Services, which will be continuing that 6G story. And in a similar way, it is linking 5G and 6G, building that bridge. Maybe just to pick one of the 9 to say a few more words about, maybe I would pick the Hexa-X project in the middle, because this is the European 6G flagship project. So this is trying to tie all the pieces together and define the roadmap looking into the future. In addition to this set of projects which have been running since roughly January this year, there is also a white paper which has been created by my association with input from many industrial players and many research institutes and universities. And this white paper is trying to be the stepping stone on the way to 6G. So trying to paint what the European vision for a 6G network ecosystem will be. And this is available on the link here. So let's look to the future. We've mentioned that we've had the last call for 5G PPP and the last projects have started. Looking to the future, as I said, we now have a new partnership called Smart Networks and Services. And this partnership we are expecting to start this year. We're expecting the legal basis to be approved at the end of this month, at the end of November, and the first calls for Smart Networks and Services to be announced in January next year. This is clearly on trend in so much as we see that 5G is not the end of the story. Clearly, 5G is still a critical technology. Its importance has increased, not decreased, and we still have much development to do here, much work, much evolution. So now is the time for 5G deployment. It is still plenty of space for 5G evolution. We are just starting the story with 5G Advanced, and we expect these 6G systems not to be deployed before at least 2030, shall we say. But nonetheless, looking at how long it takes us to actually develop these critical systems, we need those getting on for 10 years to properly develop a secure, robust system. And that means now is the right time for starting that fundamental research, that phase one efforts that I mentioned from 5G PPP. And that's why now is the right time to start this Smart Networks and Services partnership. The proposal for this partnership has a very broad basis in terms of organizations that have been involved. And this reflects the fact that we believe 6G will be an integrating technology. And rather than just having the telecoms view represented by my own association, we've had a number of other associations coming from the IoT world, from the cloud world, from the software world, which have also been involved in preparing this proposal. And overall, we've had more than 1,000 organizations directly or indirectly involved in putting this partnership proposal together. In terms of volume, we are expecting somewhere between around 900 million from public funding, and that to be matched from the private side. What are we trying to achieve in this Smart Networks and Services partnership? Well, the key objectives are listed on this slide, and some of it is sort of what you'd expect. So clearly we need to do the research and innovation for 6G networks. That's the number one thing we need to do. But notice we are not just concentrating on the radio access part. This is really an end-to-end view that we need to develop. We need to think all the way from the devices, all the way through to services and service infrastructure. Equally, we need to think about the actual applications. What are going to be the use cases for 6G? And there are exciting new areas, enhanced virtual reality, the digital twins, the holographic type communications. We would like to reinforce the technological leadership from Europe in this area. It's one of the areas that Europe is fairly strong, and we would like to try and keep some of that influence there. And maybe rather surprisingly, we'd like to safeguard European values. Now, maybe the talk of values is a little bit strange when we're talking about developing technology. But within Europe, we have certain ideas of personal freedom, of personal privacy, of security, which are maybe somewhat stronger in Europe than in many other parts of the world. And the point is, if we wish to actually respect and deliver technology in the future that actually provides those ideas of personal freedom, personal security, and privacy, we need to make sure the hooks are in that future technology. And that is what we intend to do. We intend to make sure that it would support these ideas in future services provided by 6G systems. And lastly, clearly, we need to be thinking about green transition and low carbon footprint. Maybe one last slide, just to try and give an idea of the breadth of area that we are intending to consider in smart networks and services. It is a very wide area, right the way up the stack from service and service creation, all the way down to the physical layer. And indeed, bringing in many new technologies like AI, IoT, and cloud, and further integrating those into the, let's call it, communication infrastructure. Good. Then I hope that has been of some interest. If you are interested, all the information is on the web, either from my own association's website or from other places which are referenced in the slides. We would welcome further cooperation on this. This needs to be a global effort. This cannot be a standard. The 6G standard cannot be a standard coming from a single region in the world. We need to work together to create a global standard that meets all our requirements. I would welcome doing that together. And with that, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. So, of course, it was a really interesting presentation. So, and one other thing I found very interesting was the 5G PPP Phase 3 platform, the program, and he talked about 1 + 1 = 3 split. We'd like to learn about more about that. And also, you showed that the last 5G PPP project, and you also point out that it's going to help us understand how the 6G PPP program is related to the previous 5G PPP program. And you also run over the research project on details for 6G, and it was really interesting, and we're looking forward to working on the research and also everything going forward. Thank you so much.